We are continuing with chapter 9, with the second part of chapter 9, very long chapter. I'm just going to upload the text here, share the screen, and okay, and a little bigger. Okay, everyone can see this so far there. And just reminding everyone that last week we read the parable of Jotham, or it's called also the parable of the Atad, the thorn bush, or the parable of the trees. It has different names, but it is really a beautiful parable that talks about Abimelech, who in a brutal way murders his 70 brothers, asks the people of Shechem to make him the king, which they do. They don't want to mess around with someone so violent like that. But they get criticized from Jotham, the little brother, the only one that survived, and he basically tells them, if you go and make a thorn bush as your king, you will be how do you call it?
Stuck.
Pricked. Okay, meaning you will suffer, right? And that's like kind of like the ending of the parable. That's the message of the parable. But we also saw how important it is to show leadership. If you have leadership qualities, like the trees, you remember, like the olive tree and the fig tree and the wine. Okay, they produce things for the society, but they declined leadership. So we learned from that you really need to, be responsible and look around and not shy away from leadership if you have that ability, and stay in your comfort zone, because leadership will then be hijacked by bad people who are not really worthy of doing that. So we learned a few very important messages. And we ended with that Yotam fled. He ran to Be'er and stayed there because of his brother Abimelech. And we realized that once Abimelech heard that, and everyone in Shechem heard that parable, they all realized, Yotam should flee, or else he would have a death sentence by his brother. Abimelech held sway over Israel for 3 years. So he was a judge for 3 years only. You remember, most judges were in power for 40 years, 80 years, sometimes 20 years, but a substantial amount of time. If you're in power just for 3 years, it means it's already hinting to us that God is not pleased with Abimelech, and his death will come very soon, which will happen at the end of this chapter. So, verse 23, then God sent a spirit of discord between Abimelech and the citizens of Shechem, and the citizens of Shechem broke faith with Abimelech. So, to the end that the crime committed against the 70 sons of Yerubbaal might be avenged, and their blood recoil upon their brother Abimelech, who had slain them, and upon the citizens of Shechem, who had abetted him in the slaying of his brothers. Okay, so now there's this change in scenery. If first the people of Shechem kind of like, were complicit with Abimelech, and they allowed him to rule and be their king, they're kind of like having second thoughts. They're feeling those thorny bush of his reign, and they are also feeling that what happened with him killing his own brothers is kind of like a wake-up call. Is it something in their conscience that made them rebel against him, or is it something maybe more realizing if he could do that, he could probably be even worse towards us if he doesn't like us, if we disobey him, or something of that sort. So they're now trying to do some kind of like a shift of power and go against Abimelech, who's their king. So basically, they are rebelling, but it seems like for good reasons.
Well, what it doesn't say though is what Abimelech was doing during his 3 years, which might have ticked the people off, whether it's raising taxes and drafting, young men or whatever. But if this is going downhill, he must have been doing something that displeased him.
Yeah, I think that's a good point, and there's a hint to the fact that he wasn't a good ruler, just from the fact that he was supported by all these thugs that we read about last week. So he gathered all these thugs and criminals around him. That was like his base uh, to rule. So that kind of maybe scared the people of Shechem. And again, the fact that he's able to kill his brother so easily uh, is really a very significant red light. And if you add to that the things that Larry is kind of like suggesting, maybe raising taxes, maybe going into irrational wars, who knows what he was doing, that these are additional things that they want to rebel against him, right? Okay, verse 25. Excuse me. The citizens of Shechem planted ambuscades, like ambushes.
I think it ambush up. I don't know the pronunciation.
Okay,
Ambuscades.
ambuscades.
It's setting up the ambush,
Well, I know
putting,
what it is. I just know the pronunciation.
Yeah.
no, ambuscade is right.
Is it?
Okay.
Every word.
Against him on the hilltops, and they robbed whoever passed by them on the road. Word of this reached Abimelech. So what happens now is that it's becoming like very chaotic society. So they are planting these ambuscades against Abimelech, but they're also robbing people who just go by. So maybe now maybe there's starvation going on there. Maybe, Abimelech is not such a good ruler, and people are losing their crops. Maybe he's corrupt, taking it away from people. There's kind of like a feeling of a chaotic society. Then Gaal, son of Ebed, and his companions came passing through Shechem, and the citizens of Shechem gave him their confidence. So this other guy comes in who's an army person, and the citizens of Shechem is like, wow, we have a savior. I don't know if they know him or not, but they're like excited about him. We don't have much information about who this Gaal person is. This is the first time we've encountered his name in the Bible, or at least in this story. And the citizens of Shechem say, we're appointing you. We have our confidence in you, and you need to help us fight against Abimelech. Okay?
And we don't even really know him.
We don't know him. He is probably from one of the descendants, maybe, of the 70 people that were killed.
Mhm.
They went out into the fields, gathered, and trod out the vintage of their vineyards and made a festival. They entered the temple of their god, which is idolatry, and as they ate and drank, they reviled Abimelech. Okay, so again, an indication of this chaotic situation, and they go in, they drink, they have a festival in the middle of this ongoing battles between Abimelech and them, and they go and worship their God, which means both sides are not going in the ways of God. So this is how decay and wrong things are in this society. Abimelech is going against God, worshiping idols, and the people who are against him are doing the same. Gaal, son of Ebed, said, "Who is Abimelech? And who are we, the Shechemites, that we should serve him?" The same son of Jerubbaal, Jerubbaal is Gideon, right, from the 2 chapters ago, and his lieutenant Zvul, that's Avimelech's army person, once served the entourage of Hamor, the father of Shechem. So why should we serve him? So Shechem is originally ruled by a tribe of Canaanites who their king was Hamor. That appears in the book of Genesis with the story of Dinah. I don't want to go into that right now. That's more, the expertise of my mother. But we just know that there is presence there of non-Israelites, okay, local idol worshippers, whose ruler name is Hamor, which means literally donkey, okay? And he's kind of like the founder of the city of Shechem. And Avimelech and his lieutenant, Zvul, are aligned with Hamor. So basically what Gal, who's representing the rebels, is saying, Avimelech, the king of Israel, okay, has aligned with the local king, who's an enemy to the people of Israel. So why should we trust him anymore? Why should we follow him anymore? He's giving justification for the rebellion against Avimelech and his lieutenant Zvul. And he's saying on verse 29, "Oh, if only this people were under my command, I would get rid of Avimelech. One would challenge Avimelech, fill up your ranks, and come out here." So he's calling out, everyone join me in the rebellion against Avimelech and Zvul. When Zvul, the governor of the city, okay, so now we understand he's not an army lieutenant, he's the governor of the city of Shechem, heard the words of Gaal, son of Ebed, he was furious. He's not happy that there's a rebellion against him. He sent messages to Avimelech at Tormah to say, Gaal, son of Ebed, and his companions have come to Shechem, and they are inciting the city against you. Come back quickly, save the situation. Therefore, set out at night with the forces you have with you and conceal yourself in the fields. Okay, so come back at nighttime, hide yourself in the fields. Early next morning, as the sun rises, advance onto the city. He and his troops will thereupon come out against you, and you will do to him whatever you find possible. Okay, so interesting to note that Avimelech is probably not strong enough to come in daytime to fight, but he has enough army and enough tactical abilities to fight against and quiet down this rebellion. Verse 34 tells us, Avimelech and all the troops with him set out at night and disposed themselves against Shechem in 4 hiding places. So they did what Gaal, the governor of Shechem, suggested him to come, and they are approaching the city of Shechem at night, locating themselves in the fields around, waiting for the morning to charge against Gaal, who's leading the rebellion. Then verse 35, when Gaal, son of Ebed, came out and stood at the entrance to the city gate, Abimelech and the troops with him emerged from concealment. Gaal saw the troops and said to Zvul, "Look, troops are coming down from the hilltops. But Zvul said to him, the shadow of the hills look to you like people. Okay, so now happens a very interesting situation. So Gal, who's heading the rebellion, goes out of the city, probably not realizing yet that Abimelech is coming back to capture the city back. And Zvul, who's aligned with Abimelech, is together with Gal, the head of the rebellion. A very interesting situation, right? He's not supposed to be there. He's supposed to be with Abimelech, but he's like playing double side. Okay, is he gonna choose who's gonna win? If it's Gal that wins, you're like, long live Gal. If Abimelech wins, he's like, oh, it's a good thing I called you to save the situation. He's kind of like weighing it out. Now, we heard before that Gal doesn't like Zvul, but the rebellion is against Abimelech. So Gal is also kind of like saying, I still need this Zvul guy, the governor. I still need the governor because, he has all the power. He probably has a lot of wealth. And if I win, that it will be a win-win situation for me, not to fight against Zvul as well. But we know, the readers know, that Zvul, the governor, contacted already Abimelech, warned him about the rebellion, told him come back overnight, do this ambush. Therefore, we are not surprised when Gaal kind of like sees the troops of Abimelech emerge, and Gaal sees the troops. He sees them from far, far away, and he sees like, oh my God, there are troops coming down from the hilltops. But Zvul is like, no, you're not, you need to check your eyesight. It's really the shadows of the hills look to you like people. Okay, don't get overexcited. It's like a windy day and you see, the trees are moving, or maybe, the crop is like moving and it's so far away, and maybe the sun is in his eyes. It's like, it's an illusion. It's not really what you think you're seeing. Okay, so geographically, we need to understand there is a great distance from, if you would see them like I see you, he's like, yeah, these are people. But it's so far away, it could be that, it could be that.
You would think as a strategist, though, you would send people out to verify what the heck was going
Right.
on.
Yeah, but now we understand that Zavul is playing a double role, but he did align with Avimelech, trying to save him. Gal spoke up again. Look, troops are coming down from Tavor Erez, and another column is coming from the direction of Elon Meonim. So now it's clear. This is a matter of a few minutes, right? Okay, they're storming down the hills. They're gonna be there any minute. And now he's like, no, it's not shadows. It's the real thing. He realizes, I don't know if he realizes he was tricked, but he realizes he should not have listened to the advice of the governor, Zavul. What does Zvul has to say about this? Well, replied Zvul, where is your boast? Who is Avimelech that we should serve him? Are these not the troops you sneered at? Now go out and fight with them. So now Zavul reveals himself, okay? And he's telling Gaal, who's leading the rebellion, okay, who was like a big shot before, said like mocking Avimelech, etc., and his troops. Now look at, these are the troops you were mocking. They're coming down to get you. Go and try and do something. So Gaal went out at the head of the citizens of Shechem and gave battle to Avimelech. But he had to flee before him, and Avimelech pursued him, and many fell slain, all the way to the entrance of the gate. So this is civil war. So, it's a very sad moment in the history of the Israelites. It's not the only one we know. We know of many civil wars among the Jews. Okay, if we remember Josephus from the Second Temple, okay, his book is entitled The Wars of the Jews. Okay, and he means like the Jews fighting themselves. One another. Like we're very smart people, but not on everything, as you can see.
Differences of opinion.
Hmm?
We have differences of opinion.
Yeah, well, but then when it goes, sometimes it goes violent. So Gaal, verse 41. Then Abimelech stayed in Arumah, while Zebul expelled Gaal and his companions and kept them out of Shechem. So they protected Shechem and were able to save it from the rebellion, from the rebels. The next day, people went out into the fields, and this was reported to Abimelech. So he took his troops, divided them into 3 columns, and lay in ambush in the fields. And when he saw the people coming out of the city, he pounced upon them and struck them down. Okay, so he continues slaying the people of Israel. While Abimelech and the column that followed him dashed ahead and took up a position at the entrance of the city gate. The other 2 columns rushed upon all that were in the open and struck them down. So they're killing the people from every possible side. They're surrounding them, killing everyone. It's a terrible scene, right? Abimelech fought against the city all that day. He captured the city and massacred the people in it. He razed the town and sowed it with salt. When all the citizens of the Tower of Shechem learned of this, they went into the tunnel of the temple of El Berit. When Abimelech was informed that all the citizens of the Tower of Shechem has gathered them, Abimelech and all the troops he had with him went up on Mount Salmon. Taking an axe in his hand, Abimelech lopped off a tree limb and lifted it onto his shoulder. Then he said to the troops that accompanied him, "What you saw me do, quick, do the same." So each of the troops also lopped off a bough, and then they marched behind Abimelech and laid them against the tunnel and set fire to the tunnel over their heads.
Wow.
Can you believe how cruel this civil war is becoming? He's fighting against his own people. Thus, all the people of the Tower of Shechem also perished, about 1,000 men and women.
Could you raise that up?
Avimelech proceeded to Tebez. He encamped at Tebez and occupied it. So he's like on a rampage. He's going against every person that he thought that ever rebelled against him. Within this town was a fortified tower, and men and women took refuge there, including all the citizens of the town. They shut themselves in and went up on the roof of the tower. Abimelech pressed forward to the tower and attacked it. He approached the door of the tower to set it on fire. So he's about to do exactly the same to the many people of Tebez, just like he did in Shechem, in his own hometown, people he knew, people he grew up with. Okay, he's lunatic, right? But what happens now? But a woman dropped an upper millstone on Avimelech's head and cracked his skull. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, well, let's clap for this brave woman, smart woman.
This doesn't get a PG rating.
Yeah, no. This is like, I hope you all got permits from your parents to watch today's chapter. He immediately cried out to his attendants, his arms bare, draw your dagger and finish me off, that they may not say of me, a woman killed him.
I don't think that really would work.
This guy's about to die, and his pride is so up his nose, as they say. Okay, so he's like, no, send someone to kill me. I don't want anyone to say that a woman killed King Abimelech. So his attendant stabbed him, and he died. And finally, when those on Israel's side saw that Abimelech was dead, everyone went home. Thus, God repaid Abimelech for the evil he had done to his father by slaying his 70 brothers. And God likewise repaid the people of Shechem for all their wickedness. And so the curse of Yotam, son of Jerubbaal, was fulfilled upon them. Okay, so what happens? The curse that Yotam, the only son that survived, said, Abimelech will die and you will suffer because of him, fulfilled itself at the end of this terrible story. So there's a very interesting commentary that I wanted to read to you. Can you see the slide? Yeah. From the moment Abimelech went to Shechem unto his mother's brethren, his actions kept alluding to stories from the past. And this is very interesting. Like Joseph before him, so there's a parallel to Joseph. You remember Joseph and his brothers?
Yeah.
They were fighting as well. What did the brothers of Joseph want to do to him?
They wanted to kill him.
They wanted to kill him first. Then they said, yeah, you know what, we won't kill him. One brother said, although everyone wanted to kill him, one brother said, let's not kill him. Let's just throw him to a pit with no water and with snakes in it, okay? Let him, but at least we didn't kill him directly, okay?
Joseph wasn't the only thing that the sons of Jacob did wrong.
Oh, yeah.
When he goes on his deathbed and
Yeah,
really
there were a lot of things then. So like Joseph before him, Abimelech traveled to Shechem with his father's other sons in mind. But while Joseph went to see if his brothers were well, Abimelech set out to bring about his brothers' death. Okay, so the interesting thing is both of these stories happen in Shechem. So there's a theory which I know my mother talks about a lot, that there's no coincidence in the Bible. If the Bible describes a story that happens of brothers that are fighting in the city of Shechem, it's to hint to us to the story of Joseph. It's like a parallel in a sense. And we need to learn the differences and the similarities and kind of understand what is the Bible trying to teach us here, okay? So, but while in both cases, the question of dominion, through the Hebrew root mashal, to rule, was at the heart of the situation. Joseph's brothers thought, is that any window open here?
No, it's coming through.
It's outside.
Outside.
Oh, yeah.
Right out, right
I
out.
think it's a gardener.
Yeah, you can come back later.
George is leaving.
Yeah. So in both cases, Joseph's brothers thought that he wished to have dominion over them, and Abimelech wanted to kill his brothers so that he alone could have dominion over others. But while both journeys led to violent confrontations, Jacob's sons didn't kill each other and were reunited and reconciled to each other in the end. But Joseph and his brothers are not the only ghosts haunting this story. Abimelech, after all, didn't actually set out to find his brothers. He more closely resembles Jacob, who traveled to seek his own maternal uncle, Lavan. but Jacob traveled to avoid a violent confrontation with his brother Esau. Okay, Esau wanted to kill Jacob, right, for stealing the blessing of the firstborn away from him.
Doesn't exactly say that, right? It says that Rebecca had told him to run in case Esau was going to kill him.
Well, Esau thought in his mind that he wants to kill him. So either he wasn't careful and said it aloud and someone heard it and gave report to
Right.
Rebecca,
Oh.
where it was kind of evident that he wants to do it. They knew him. So Abimelech traveled with his brother's death in mind. Upon meeting his uncles, Abimelech used a soon-to-be proved empty platitude to convince them. Remember, he said, that I am your bone and your flesh. In Jacob's journey, it was the uncle Lavan who used the same expression. Surely thou art my bone and my flesh. Lavan then went on to exploit and cheat his nephew. Abimelech belied his words.
Lied.
He lied is correct.
Belied his words by murdering his kin. So using the same terminology, okay, oh, you're my bone and flesh, so here you'll be with me, you'll be my guest, or support me, I'll be your king, is a disguise to the brutality and deceiving nature of these people, Lavan and Avimelech. The intertextual connections don't end here. Avimelech ended his relationship with his brothers by murdering them upon one stone. This gruesome image stands in stark contrast with Jacob's usage of a stone to end his relationship with Lavan. After a tense confrontation, Jacob took a stone and set it up for a pillar. His family piled other stones about it, and they made the heap into a witness that, in Lavan's words, I will not pass over this heap to thee, and that thou shalt not pass over this heap and this pillar unto me for harm. It is appropriate that Abimelech, who used a stone to kill his bone and flesh, was defeated when a millstone crushed his skull. It is also appropriate that Jacob, the man who used a stone to defuse a potentially violent family altercation, died surrounded by his children. In Hebrew, the word for stone is a combination of words father and son. Evan, okay, is Aleph Bet Nun, which could be either Av, father, or Ben, son. Okay, so it's very interesting and creative commentary by Rachel Sharansky Danziger. And the point really here is the symbolism of the stone, that the stone could be a place where you can create a pact and declare the peace between Lavan and Jacob, or it could be a place of great disharmony when Avimelech takes the stone and slaughters his 70 brothers by the stone. Okay, and then there another big stone, the millstone, is thrown by the woman, who must have been very strong. Okay, she picked it up, from the tower,
Huge.
and
Well, it depends
Threw
on
it.
which smell.
and threw it on Avimelech, and thanks to that was able to bring back peace to the land of Israel.
By the way, you also have
Sorry?
a story in Kings. I don't remember if it was the wise woman of Abba or one of them who throws a head over the roof and then averts a war.
Against
That's
Yoav.
much later. What?
Yoav.
Maybe it's Joab who, right, and averts a civil war by throwing the head of somebody over the roof.
Oh, okay. So that's
bullshit.
that's a good.
Also a woman. I mean, also a woman doing that.
Oh,
Here we have the image of that woman, okay, by Charles Foster. This is in Philadelphia, I think, and or the story of the Bible from 1884. And I don't know if we see Abimelech. Oh, I guess the black horse, the black man on the horse, the image here, that's probably him. He's gonna go, he's gonna get the stone in a moment. Okay. And look at her. Now, is this a millstone or is this more like
Looks like a part.
Well,
of
it
a
looks like
millstone.
part of a millstone.
Well, there's a
uh-huh.
flat
Stuff
part
with-
right next to her head, the way the artist has shown it. And that could be a tombstone.
Yeah, well,
Oh.
Is that the woman holding a stone standing on top?
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
yes,
She reminds us like something from the French Revolution, right?
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Right? Like, you know,
Liberty.
like bringing freedom to the people. Like, there's a famous image like that.
Yes.
I forget which one it is, but it's kind of like you see all the, you know, there are a few women on the side here on the left. They're crying, they're terrified, they're all worried.
None of them are armed, by the way.
None of them are armed. Then you have all the army fighting here, okay? And they're all looking at this at the woman in this moment, and she's determined. She, you know, she's very focused on what she's about to do. There is the man here is maybe skeptic, maybe he's like worried, and this guy is also warning her. Oh, careful! You know, if you miss or something like that, we're all going to be in great, you know, who knows? So they're all waiting for this moment, and lucky to them, she did not miss. Okay, very, very brave. And here is Avimelech in a painting by Gustav Doré from the end of the 19th century. He has a lot of paintings of the Bible. He went through the land of Israel. And he was a biblical scholar, a Christian biblical scholar. I think Christian. Was Gustav Doré Christian or Jewish? I don't remember. And every place he got to that had a biblical scene, so he got to Shechem, he was like, wait, I want to make a painting of the biblical scene that happened here or here or here. So there are many, so there's like, and then he went back to Europe and he published the Gustav Doré Bible, which has all these amazing illustrations. So it's great to see his interpretation. It's kind of like his midrash on things, but also it's great to see Israel in the 19th century, right? In the late 19th century, from his eyes and what was there actually at the time.
Well, wouldn't you say that the showing of people, real people, in these drawings indicates that it's probably more Christian
Probably,
because they don't want to have a symbol in the Jewish place.
probably, yeah, I agree. But you do see, okay, here the servant whoever decides to kill Avimelech. Okay, here's the stone. That's the stone that's hit him. It's a little bit different than the stone from right here. The stone was shaped in this way. Here, it's more like a millstone. That makes more sense. Realistically, Gustav Doré got it a little bit better in that sense. And then the last photo I wanted to share with you is with Dikla Laor, okay, who's a fascinating Israeli artist. We're going to see her later on. This is the first of many other photos that she took. She takes models, women models in Israel, and she dresses them up in these dresses, which are, you know, artistic in its own way. And she tells the Bible stories through scenes with women that happened there. And here, this is her interpretation to the brave woman that threw the millstone on Avimelech. So it's just beautiful. Like it's very interpretive. It's not, you know, not realistic. It's more like, you know, but she has Israel in the background. She has the beautiful trees. Okay. She chose this tile fence here in the background, kind of like to symbolize for that. And she's holding this huge stone. Okay. she's not laughing, but she's also not serious. She has like
Concentrating.
she's concentrating, but she's like a little bit, I feel like she's a little bit cynical. She's like, you're gonna see what happens. In a moment, things are gonna change. Okay, she has like that look on her. So I thought it's a really great way to kind of like end this presentation today.